step under the film is a soft tackle. When I arrived on the Missouri in May of 1992, I came from the Northwest, from Washington State, Caddis based. Not a lot of insects because the water's not great there. And I had been introduced by my first fishing mentor had introduced me to soft tackles, so I had boxes of soft tackles, which work, as you guys know, everywhere. Certainly a lost art, not only in the tying portion, and I'm not going to show anything revolutionary in the tying part, because I'm a commercial tire, I'm not a pretty tire, but here's this fly. Let's just talk about it before. We see it. So there's your Carey. This is we use this for a leech. This is actually a lake fly. Mike over here showed me some beautiful hornbergs. But this is a lake fly. Carey special. A Doc Spratley, if you guys are familiar with that, is another classic. Remember the, oh God, does your memory get worse as you age? Is that the deal? Who's that guy, the steelheader? They had that pheasant tail nymph with the legs hanging down. It's just all pheasant tail. It's from Washington State. What's that? No, but he's a great tire, lake guy. His big steelhead deal is where he throws rocks at them because he thinks they eat better. It'll come to me. It's the only fly that's ever been patented. There's a whole bunch of lake patterns that are very, very similar, and you guys do fish lakes here. But this is originally a lake pattern. We use it a lot on the Missouri just for a searching fly. So that's the Carey special. This is pheasant rump. I don't know if this is pheasant rump here. It might be. This could be anything. This is peacock, reverse ribbed. A little thorax is not quite big enough for my liking, but a lot of people don't even like a little thorax on there, and just a thread head. So that is the recipe for it. We're going to use floss, purple. Purple, purple is a huge color in fly fishing, as you guys know. Purple, olive, you could dub the body, with semi-seal or something. I like kind of like really buggy, sloppily tied flies is what I like. I think that's great for fish. I said I'm not a pattern guy. I'm a sloppy fly guy. So any soft tackle that you would like, we swing them for the Betas, for the PMD, for the Caddis. We get a bunch of goo in the river in August and September, so not a great time to swing flies, whether streamer fishing or swinging a fly on your single-handed or your trout spey rod. I do it with my 10'9" 2-weight trout spey rod is what I like to do. With a leech and a Scandinavian line, if you guys are familiar with that, and a really long leader. And I'm not throwing it a long ways. Misconception about a spey rod is you're throwing it to the TV over there. I'm never throwing my 2-weight to that TV. I'm throwing it to one of those cats in the back there, but I'm not throwing it to the TV. I'm not throwing it any farther with your single-hander. It's just another way to skin the cat. That's good beer. Good light beer. I don't like flavor in my beer. So here's a Carey special. This is a size 10. Something or other. This is a Dairiki size 10, something or other. So I'm going to thread on here. I got to remember, we can't use that color thread. So we're going to go black thread, a little more appropriate for this. I'm going to thread this thing on. If I'm going to remember how to tie this, I'll learn with you guys. Because the tailing is with this. You want the tail up here, a little easier to grab. Standing room only. Sir, did you buy your tickets for the raffle yet? They're $20 each. 5 for 100. Saying. It's a lot easier to win if you enter a lot. That's what I found. So here I've got this, I've just pulled off some fibers off my pheasant tail rump. Did I mention that? So this is pheasant tail rump right here. I watch fly tying videos. This is what they do, right? They put it right here. This is the first time I've done a fly tying video. No, that's not true. I've done a few with John. Pheasant tail rump, so I've just pulled off a couple. I'm going to measure the tail length. Some people like it, I like it longer. So it's a lot easier to tie in your tail if you start up here, as you guys remember, as I remember. So we're going to thread that down to the bend. Boom, there you go. I'm going to clip this guy off. You could thread that up, finish that. it's way easier. I'm trying to remember. I think you want to tie. I just tied this a month ago. I did do a tying deal. You want this to be, you have to measure this. You kind of want, that's probably too long. So I grabbed from the tailing fibers up here, you know, stuff I'm not going to use. These are beautiful. These long fibers right here are just spectacular. Such great color in a pheasant tail rump. But I'm going to grab this shorter feather here for the hackle. A lot of times, I won't tie in the hackle. First, I will do a couple different versions. A lot of times, you would tie in the hackle. This is probably a more appropriate length. You tie in the hackle right now, and then, in fact, I will. I'll try it right now. I'm going to cut this thing off. So you guys know how to prep this thing, right? You clip off of there, just like I did before. It's the easiest way. Clip that stuff off. You want the shiny, good side facing you. And you tie that right there. I gotta remember. So you tie that right like that, right there. Okay, so that's threaded on. So that part is done. Concave side, convex side facing me. Right, you want the shiny side, you want that to be outside. So there's a lot of different ways. I'm trying to remember the most efficient. Yeah, so I'm going to thread the wire on right now. I use this silver wire because it's a little easier to see on the camera, but ultra fine gold, you know, the stuff that's actually tarnished a little bit, that's been in the back of your tying desk for a long time, I like that. You know, it gives you the ribbing, the variegation, a little bit of twinkle.
Just told me he's been married 3 times.
Then let's do a little dubbing. So I'm a huge fan of SLF. Or any of that tri-lobal stuff, any of that LaFontaine stuff, but SLF, synthetic living fiber, Davy Watton synthetic living fiber is what this is. And this is, I'm enamored with this color. This is that, oh, the Whitlock Dark. So that's that stuff right there. You can see it's got red, some gold, some orange, some olive, black, and it's just really super, super buggy. So ideally you do a dubbing loop, which I never do. You can see I just do touch dub like LaFontaine would do. I'm a LaFontaine disciple. So I just touch dub that on there. Obviously a dubbing loop. If you're, in your second glass of scotch, definitely dubbing loop. So I'm just threading that on. You can see it's pretty buggy. I like that kind of style. A lot of guys, that's too much for them. I'm going to dub this out. I'm going to pick this here in a sec with my dubbing brush. But, properly it would be reverse ribbed. So I'll reverse rib it, which is pretty cool looking. You buy your tickets already? Yeah. You're out? Okay, good. I have a fly shop, man. I got to be selling all the time. So I just cut that off.
So which SLF is it?
This is Whitlock Dark. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that cool?
Nice.
Hold the label.
Well, that's the price. It ain't the price anymore. You bought that 20 years ago, right?
I might have. I'm kind of a hoarder. So,
Good company.
yeah, I just really like dubbing. And I have the dubbing blender. I mean, before you could buy all these blends, I was always a dubbing mixer. So I had, I would do 10 parts. Like if I was doing black, I'd do 5 parts black. But I might do the hairline, the sparkle stuff, what's that called? Hairline Plus. And then the hairline, black. And then a little semi-seal chopped up first, and then put in and then 1 part orange, 1 part olive, 1 part brown, with some SLF, so you get some fibers in there that have edges on them, hard edges, which twinkle. So I would, and then 1 or 2 parts dubbing kicker. I was always a big fan of that. And then one day I'm walking down the aisle, and Dave Whitlock decided to make that, so you can see that. And then I stopped mixing. I just buy that stuff. So I've got that on there. Hackle pliers. I like the teardrop. Everybody has a different opinion, so I'm going to grab this.
No. No.
Yeah, you can take some free flies too.
No. I've got your number.
Whitlock?
John Roman. John Roman.
So I've got that on there. 1.5 wraps. And then just fold this guy back. You could also I'll do a couple different hackling methods. Pretty sparse. That's what you want. Over hackled, soft hackles are awful. Then if you wanted to add, which I like to add, just a little bit in the thorax here.
So they have rules.
So I'm just going to add a little bit. Appropriate amount. There we go. Finish that off nicely.
I'll check that out.
You know what this tying in front of this camera reminds me of?
I'm afraid to say.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I should say it. It's kind of like the mirror on the ceiling. I mean, isn't it? I mean, I'm here. That's not inappropriate, is it? That's not. That's okay. So there's the first one. Yeah, that didn't I talk about it.
We all have.
This is part.
Awesome. That's
You can get away with a little more up here.
that is fantastic. So that's the first. I'll tell you a couple different variations. I'll show you how to. I'm sure you guys are familiar with folding the hackle or pulling half the hackle off before you do this, so it doesn't. These, your traditional. Tri-fly hackles before, the invention of this stuff, which is fantastic. When the feather used to be this big. Remember that? Remember those days? That's just awful. You might need, if you're using some partridge, sometimes, the stems get pretty thick, so it's a little harder to hackle on that. Then I would think that would necessitate pulling half the fibers off or folding doing all that stuff. This stuff is pretty easy to work with. So, and then you could also, and I'll tie one, you could change that, you could do a little hot spot right here, right? You could do the thorax a different color, like an orange, or if you did orange with a black, so I'll do like an October Caddis version.
Can you do one more real quick?
I'm going to do it. Yeah, oh yeah. We still have time, right?
Yeah, you got 9 minutes.
9 minutes.
No pressure.
I don't feel pressure. No. One of my greatest assets is I never worry about anything, but one of my greatest faults is I never worry about anything. Yeah. I'll do an October Caddis version. But this olive floss, these are really cool to do. Olive floss, purple floss. I don't know if I have that dubbing with me. Oh, I do. Look at the little SLF cube. Those are so cool, except for when I ordered it on the computer, because none of my local retailers had it. And when it came, it was that size, if you guys can see that. In the picture, it looked a lot bigger. And I got it, I was like, oh man. But this is a neat little sampler of SLF. There's a great October Caddis color there. But you could do, stonefly colors. You could do golden stone. You could tie a little heavier. So, you could emulate a number of different things actually with this. So I'll tie on. Let's do tailing, so good tailing. But you could tie, any tailing you want, any hackle fiber back there. You could tie a synthetic, a Zelon, or a lot of guys like a shorter tail. I'll tie one with a shorter tail this time. You could tie anything off the tail that you desire. So you guys well know, the beauty of fly tying is you can do anything you want, and fish are pretty receptive to a lot of different things. I'll tie it a different order this time. I'll tie on the rib. Smart, down, if on my 10th fly, I'd be tying in the rib and the tail at the same time. Save one step, because it's not gonna, you can manipulate the wire. So let's do an October Caddis version here. Doesn't want to go on down there. A touch dubbing technique, you just need to get it near the fly, or near the thread rather. October Caddis, are pretty thick, so you can tie that, much larger. Then you can pick it out. I'll reverse rib it because you're supposed to. Especially when you reverse rib, when you're coming through hackle, makes it a lot stronger. Peacock or pheasant tail. I used to have different scissors for cutting wire, but then I just said, screw it. Yeah, you don't cut your tips, you don't cut them with it, you cut your wire right down there. Okay, so I'm gonna pick that out because I think it looks crappy. So let's pick that out. There we go, that looks cool. So now let's tie on the hackle right here. Again, I'm gonna trim this, I'm gonna trim back some barbules, exposing the stem. That's right, if you tie it on sideways, it kicks the right way. So here, like I said, I like this teardrop hackle plier. Oh, it's too close to the eye. It is going to take me 9 minutes. I've made a drastic error.
That's huge.
It's huge.
We can edit that out, don't worry.
Good thing it's fly tying, and you can always fix it. Okay. So here we go. I think it's in a little better spot. Although if I was tying at home, I'd just let it ride. So I'm going to stroke those back. I'll do a little heavier hackle here than this last one. Usually you can just pop that thing off. It didn't work there, but you can pop that feather off. There we go. And then I think a nice, October Caddis has that black thorax and that Whitlock dark is ideal for that. And then we'll just pick this back into this feather too. So you've got advantage of that feather there. Oh, that's cool looking. So there's a really cool generic, call it Carey special, but a generic soft tackle that work on so many different resources. Again, a fly that you can change. So right there, Scott, let's make it through.
I'm trying.
So let's pick that guy out there too. Oh, look at that.
That's a good one.
So I've impressed myself a little bit there. Good thing you can see I'm tying, except for that right there. That's cool. That's a great fly. So there's an October Caddis version of that.
No hackle?
Yeah, there's a hackle. It's just
No, I mean, no like body hackle.
no body hackle. No. SLF. And sloppy tying. Scott, you might be one of those neat fly tires. Are you one of those really neat fly tires?
I'll let hackle pick up slime on the Missouri.
That's right. Yes, it would, Dave. Yeah, absolutely. So there's. I mean, you could tie any soft. Any questions about that specific fly or any soft tacklers or?
That's awesome.
That SL11 is, like I said, such a wonderful product. I mean, the buggy nature of that. I don't like to use any of that, the super fine stuff, even on dries. I'm a sloppy. Consequently, I don't have any patterns. There's not any Mark Raisler patterns. A lot of guys are fly producers. I was always a fly tyer. I'm not a fly creator. And I could tweak a few things like this, but this would be indicative of my style. Would be just to have all this shit hanging off of there. Yeah.
As refined as you get.
Yes, Mike. That's as refined as I get right there. Yeah, if you look, you'll see some nymph boxes of mine there. I still have some nymphs that I tied, and they all look like that. Just balls of dubbing on a hook. That's my style. Yeah.